For more than 60 years, Braun was the company that defined how modern electronics should look, the restrained visual language Apple would later borrow for the iPod, and the company that still couldn't save its own audio division. And then, in February 2025, a single press release made it official. In 1890, Max Braun was born into a farming and seafaring family in East Prussia, the sixth of 7 sons. After completing a 4-year machinist apprenticeship, he moved to Frankfurt am Main, founding an engineering workshop in 1921. His initial commercial success came from a transmission belt connector, which funded a transition to producing radio components in 1923 and complete receiver sets by 1929. Braun observed that contemporary manufacturers relied on bulky, ornamental cabinets to disguise technology as status symbols, a convention he determined was functionally and economically inefficient. Although Allied bombing destroyed his factories in 1944, Braun rebuilt before his sudden death in 1951, leaving the enterprise to his sons Artur and Erwin. In 1956, Braun introduced the Phono Super SK4 for 295 Deutsche Mark. The unit was a collaboration between the architect Hans Gugelow and Dieter Rams, who had joined the company's design department in 1955. Unlike contemporary radio consoles disguised as heavy wooden furniture, this compact unit integrated a valve radio and a turntable inside a light gray sheet metal chassis with light ash wood side panels. The designers initially planned a metal lid, but prototype testing revealed that the steel cover rattled at higher volumes. To solve this acoustic resonance, Rams proposed a transparent acrylic hood. This clear perspex cover exposed the entire mechanism, allowing showroom customers to watch the record spin during operation. The control layout on the top panel used simple, highly legible dials. In 1957, the design received recognition at the Milan Triennale, and the Museum of Modern Art later added the model to its permanent collection. In November 1956, Braun's own trade prospectus introduced the Phono Super SK4, with a dry note that the transparent lid reminded designer Hans Gugelow of Snow White's coffin. German radio journals like Funkschau and Funktechnik quickly adopted the term Schneewittchensarg, turning the nickname into a derisive critique of its acoustic integrity. Critics argued the minimalist unit was an expensive domestic ornament, rather than a serious high-fidelity receiver. Instead of issuing a formal defense, Braun chose a policy of silent toleration, allowing the controversy to drive public curiosity. This skepticism followed Braun's later audio releases. British reviewers in Gramophone and Hi-Fi News later described the 1959 LE-1 electrostatic loudspeaker and the 1957 Atelier 1 radio as visually remarkable but acoustically limited, reinforcing a persistent industry belief that striking industrial design came at the expense of sound. Wolfgang Schmidl's 1953 logo redesign established a unified corporate identity across all product categories. Braun built its new marketing system around consumer magazines, trade journals, modular exhibition stands, and early 1960s television spots. Graphic designers from the Ulm School of Design, including Otto Eicher, styled these promotions to present appliances as reliable tools. The central advertising slogan, "You won't part with yours either," ran for over a decade. To fund its industrial expansion, Braun became a public company in 1962. A 1969 trade report estimated that the firm held 30% of the West German radio market, nearly half of the radiogram segment, and close to 50% of tape recorder sales. This commercial scale invited a new test of global operations. In December 1967, Gillette purchased an 85% controlling interest in Braun for approximately $50 million in cash and stock, shifting the firm under foreign corporate management. In 1958, Braun introduced the T3 transistor radio, a pocket-sized receiver designed by Dieter Rams. The device discarded the bulky, decorative styling of earlier portable radios in favor of a clean, white plastic casing. Its primary interface was a single, circular tuning wheel with crisp, typographic markings. A small orange indicator served as the only color accent on the face, showing the selected frequency and serving as the primary visual focus. This minimalist interface demonstrated that Braun's functionalist design system could scale down to personal, mobile electronics. The brand maintained this strict visual continuity across other product categories for decades. The ET66 pocket calculator, released in 1987, applied the same geometric grid layout, circular buttons, and stark casing to establish immediate usability. Apple, founded in 1976, built a business model by joining hardware, software, and services rather than competing on physical design alone. In October 2001, Apple released the first iPod for $399. Braun had no contractual or design involvement in the development of this device. Dieter Rams's visual language served as an aesthetic influence for Apple industrial designer Jonathan Ive, representing a cultural lineage rather than direct design authorship. By October 2008, the launch of Spotify introduced a digital streaming model that disrupted the consumer audio market. Spotify reported 75 million active users by 2015, a metric indicating rapid platform growth rather than retail product sales. Braun's overall company revenue during this period remains undocumented. In 2019, Braun Audio returned through a brand licensing agreement with Pure Audio, unveiling the LE01, LE02, and LE03 speakers at the IFA trade show. The units featured Wi-Fi, AirPlay 2, Chromecast, and digital signal processing inside slim aluminum cabinets. Retail prices differed by region, with the LE01 marketed at $1,299, the LE02 at $899, and the LE03 at $399. Period Reviews and What Hi-Fi and The Verge praised the aesthetic design but questioned the sound quality and overall value. Because verified unit sales data is unavailable, the commercial outcome remains unresolved, positioning the relaunch as a late arrival to a crowded smart speaker market. On February 19, 2025, Braun issued a formal press release confirming the final wind down of its audio operations. The announcement stated that the audio and hi-fi division was discontinued. While the company had ceased producing new in-house hi-fi hardware in 1990, this declaration officially retired the Braun brand name for audio products. The decision closed the remaining historical chapters at two German locations. The Frankfurt-based audio plant, which had manufactured turntables since 1954, ceased its remaining administrative functions. Concurrently, the company shut down the historical hi-fi assembly line in Kronberg. This corporate retreat followed decades of shifting ownership. Gillette acquired an 85% controlling interest in Braun in December 1967 for approximately $50 million, and Procter & Gamble subsequently purchased the company in 2005. During these transitions, the mass market focus of the parent corporations diverged from specialty audio. An unrelated restructuring occurred in August 2012 when Procter & Gamble transferred the perpetual licensing rights for Braun kitchen appliances to the Italian manufacturer DeLonghi. Today, the minimalist aesthetic of the SK4 and the T3 radio exists primarily as a historical influence on modern electronics. Braun's original design department no longer engineers audio equipment, leaving a legacy defined by visual purity rather than commercial survival. To hear more accounts of how cultural empires slowly fade, subscribe to this channel. The current corporate entity operates primarily in the personal care sector, focusing on electric shavers and grooming instruments. A multinational consumer goods conglomerate retains ownership of the core brand trademark. The manufacture of household and kitchen appliances continues under an external perpetual license. Separate brand rights for the audio division belong to an independent firm which manages the current line of wireless speakers. This fragmented licensing structure lacks any direct continuity with the specialized engineering authority of the mid-20th century. Braun's radios, turntables, and loudspeakers once defined the physical form of domestic high-fidelity equipment. The company's functionalist design philosophy escaped formal defeat by any superior aesthetic. Instead, the historic pursuit of physical purity ended in quiet market indifference. Today, the 1958 T3 radio and the SK4 reside in museum collections rather than living rooms. As digital ecosystems dictate modern hardware survival, Braun's silent departure from audio proves that aesthetic purity is no longer enough. The design language won the future, but the company lost the market.